Hello, everybody. So, we have 8 movies, I think, that we've seen over the past month. Some of them, quite a while ago. Some of them much more recently, and these are all things that we haven't reviewed on Oscar Buzz or as standalone reviews. So, we are just going to go through them and give our brief thoughts. So, Thomas, you ready to get started?
I'm ready to get started. In the words of Lightning McQueen, gotta go fast. Is that Lightning McQueen? I feel like that's not Lightning McQueen. Someone said that.
Let's start out with Watcher. This is a movie that premiered at Sundance. It's kind of like it's basically just another Rear Window esque movie. It's the debut from Chloe Okuno. Stars Micah Monroe, who you may know from It Follows. And yeah, there's the serial killer and a young actress that is moving to Romania, I think it was, and everybody speaks Romanian. She doesn't immediately. It gives off like a really fun isolationist like feel, like she's like she's paranoid about everything. She doesn't know what's going on, and then there's this guy that's watching her through the window, and like I think a lot of the tension it's attempting to build is like effective. It's only an hour and 30 minutes long. Still feels way too long though. Like it's a very slow paced film, and by the time we do get to the climax, it kind of works. But I don't know if everything was worth it. I think this movie would have worked really, really well as a short film, and I don't know if there were enough ideas there to necessarily sustain a feature film. And yeah, like Carl Glusman, who plays opposite Micah Monroe, is very bad. But Micah Monroe is quite good, and it's an entertaining film. I would recommend it. I didn't hate it. I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so Fire Island next came out. It's on Disney Plus in the UK, Hulu, I believe, in the US.
Yeah,
And it's basically like the story's not doing anything that new or original. Like it is basically a queer adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, and it's cute, it's fun. It's sort of like a throwaway romantic comedy, but I actually do think a lot of the comedy does work. I think the relationship between the two leads, one played by Bone Yang, the other played by I don't recall the name, but I think they do have very good chemistry, and in fact, the whole cast have good chemistry with one another. And you really get a feel that it's told from a place of warmth, and like this is clearly a very passionate director behind it. I don't recall who's behind it, but it's clearly a story that he wanted to, or she, it could be she. It's really have to do research here, but they will go with wanted to tell, and like you feel the love and passion it did go into making this film. It is maybe a little too long. Like it does move by fairly briskly, and the pacing is fairly good. But there is maybe one or two beats that could have just been cut out, and it wouldn't have had that much effect on the overall film. Like there are some moments where it does slightly lose its momentum. However, at the end of the day, it's not trying to be anything big. Really, it's just trying to be a fun, cute little film that also has some important representation in there as well. What's not to love?
absolutely. It's on my watch list. I really want to see it. All right, I have Emergency. This one came out on Amazon Prime. I saw it at Sundance at the front of the year. So it's R.J. Seiler, who after a bit with The Harder They Fall, he's going to be a star. Also features Sabrina Carpenter, pop star. Got to get that name recognition in there, and she's decent. She's good enough. But it's there's this big night of partying, and some college students find an unconscious white girl in their apartment. All three of them are black. They don't know what to do. They think if they call the cops will think that they've done it, which is a sad reality. But they decide to try to like drive her to this hospital, and it's basically just everything goes wrong in one night movie, which is a genre we've seen done plenty of times before, and this doesn't contribute that much new, but it's fun. It's engaging. It's entertaining. There's some really fun moments. It balances comedy with like some serious political messaging and societal commentary fairly well. I think it can maybe overstep as it like I don't know it like half works. The
Okay.
balance turns half works. And then there's also the last 20 minutes of the movie just don't need to happen. There's like it has some pacing issues, but overall, I did have a fun time with the movie. I would recommend it. It's a very important film, and it took this concept and it there's a purpose for this movie to exist. So I'm gonna throw it a solid 6.5.
So I don't think I gave a rating to Fire Island. I'd give it probably an 8 out of 10.
All
I
right,
think
all
I'm right
right.
there.
All right, I'm gonna quickly shout out Neptune Frost. This movie is wild. It is an it is an Afro-futuristic um, sci-fi musical. It is it's unfortunately produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Ezra Miller, but um, um, it's a just wild movie. The costumes and makeup and hair in this thing are insane. I mean, yeah, it's about an intersex like hacker who's trying to take down this authoritarian like oppressionist like government who's exploiting all of their workers, and with like their mining, and then they have to like rise up in this like revolt against like this like totalitarian police. It's like the political messaging of this movie is very very clear. Um, but like it's just a fun time. I don't It's wild. I don't obvious like it's so obvious that the director like this doesn't entirely know what they were doing. And at points it feels like a collection of vignettes, but it's just a wild creative vision. And like we need more movies like this. All the actors I think were like first time actors who were just like regional. And like it's more movies like this. More movies where directors just like we're taking something like this crazy new take and it's being like widely not widely accepted, but it's being accepted by like the film industry. And that's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really fun to see. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10.
Okay, couldn't be more contrasting with the next film, Hustle. But perhaps the safest film you will maybe watch this year. Like, it's very cliche in its story, it's very safe, but it's watchable. Like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a fun time with this. As someone who was not really a basketball fan at all, like, none of the real cameos had much impact on me. But I will say you can't really tell that they are basketball players. Like, a lot of the time when you bring athletes into film, they're often, they're a bit shaky with performances. But I don't think you can really tell that here. Like, the acting's not the best all around, but it's not bad. There's no real bad performances. Adam Sandler is actually very good in it. Like, think above Happy Madison, Happy Gilmore, sorry, all of that kind of thing. Below Uncut Gems, Punch Drunk Love. He's sitting right around there, that sort of region.
Yeah.
And like you can tell he has a love for basketball, and yeah, it does make you appreciate basketball as a sport a bit more. That's something that's fun. I do think the main character does make some unbelievably stupid decisions that does like take you out of the film. Like you do think, no one would actually do that. I guess people would actually do that, but it does make it slightly like an annoying watch because you are just sort of shouting at the screen, why are you doing that? You are an idiot. But yeah, it's a fun time. Like the sports moments and like all the training sessions and all of that kind of thing that are cliche in the sports genre are all there, but they're told well enough, and like it's not doing anything technically groundbreaking. But Adam Sandler's great in it. Plus, there are some fun moments and some fun dialogue and stuff like that. So I'd probably give it a 6.57 out of 10.
Sorry, then you said that it's specifically a 6.57.
No, 6.5/7 out of 10.
Again, it's very specific. Yeah, no, it feels like a movie that I'll probably watch with my dad one night. But yeah, so back to as a
I feel like your ones were slightly more fun than mine. But
as unsafe as you can be with the film Crimes of the Future, Cronenberg is back, baby. Okay, like I love David Cronenberg a lot. If you don't like Cronenberg, you don't like Cronenberg, and you aren't going to like this movie. Like I would even compare this to something like The French Dispatch from last year. I promise I'm going somewhere with this, where it's by no means the director's best work, but it feels like the most they've ever indulged themselves into their style and ideas. Like if you love Cronenberg, you're probably gonna like this movie. If you aren't the biggest Cronenberg fan, probably won't be for you. I happen to be a massive Wes Anderson fan and a massive David Cronenberg fan. I mean, he's taking in all of his body horror films, he's taking the ideas of sex and pain and what humans do to feel things. I mean, it's taking the same ideas that we've seen in like Videodrome and Existence, like Crash. Like it's just he makes the film with like the same themes very consistently, and just explores them in different ways. This one is saying a lot with like how we're treating like our environment and how humans may adapt to that. And like it really does feel like a series of vignettes of just characters kind of walking around this world that he's created and providing different moral and philosophical and ethical arguments about how things should be done within this world. And It's very loose on the plot. This can be definitely described as a nothing happens movie. But I liked it quite a bit. I think Viggo Mortensen's good. Léa Seydoux is very good. Kristen Stewart knocks it out of the goddamn park. I think that she is incredible. I also just love Kristen Stewart a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's grown on me a lot. It's very, very deliberately, slowly paced. I like. If you don't think you're gonna like this movie, you will not like this movie. But if you think you might like it, you're probably gonna like it. It's gonna be very, very hit or miss with a lot of people. I just happen to really, really love it. Maybe an outside contender for makeup and hair. I'm gonna give this a very strong 8.
So Chip and Dale next. I get the joy of talking about that. Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks since I watched it. These are not really fresh opinions. The film was not fresh in my mind. It's not left much of a lasting impact on me.
Yeah.
Take about what you will. I do think the voice acting is good. I do think John Mulaney and Andy Samberg have good chemistry with one another. And I do really like the dynamic between the two main characters, obviously. Chip and Dale. It'd be a bit weird if they weren't the main two main characters. There are some fun little cameos in there. Like, yeah, there are some fun cameos in there and all of that kind of stuff. And it does establish quite a nice world and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I do completely understand the parallels people have made between this and Who Framed Robert Radwick. Like, they are very much fair. I do think the plot's fairly generic, but some of the comedy does actually work, which for films like this, they are often more aimed at children, and that comedy doesn't really work usually with these kind of films. However, this one, there are some nice moments, mainly regarding the back and forth between the two main characters. But I don't know, like, if it's not something you have much nostalgia towards, like I don't, it may not entirely be your thing. I'd give it a solid maybe 6.5 out of 10, similar to what I gave Hustle.
All right. And lastly, and definitely least, we have Jurassic World Dominion. I saw this opening night because I had nothing better to do, and I regret it. This is a.
So surely you had something better to do.
I would have had more fun like sitting and staring at a wall. This movie is so boring. Like, I don't know how you take maybe one of the easiest concepts to make thrilling, like dinosaurs are loose in the world and people have to run away from them. Like that, like, you know, you could make a bad movie that's at least just like entertaining out of that, but it's just so boring. They try to do this thing with like locusts are like eating like vegetables or something, and then that's going to take away people's food sources, and they're like, oh, and then also dinosaurs are here. And it's like, I don't, why? It's just, it's so dull. Like, the only reason I didn't fall asleep is because I saw it in 3D. Like, which, by the way, adds absolutely nothing to the movie.
I didn't even know 3D still really existed, but
yeah. But yeah, like, I guess if you were to say one thing good, it doesn't entirely waste the legacy characters. Like, the interactions between, you know, Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant, and whatever Jeff Goldblum's character is. The interactions between those characters are fun. They don't contribute anything, I guess, but they at least, like, they feel like the same characters. They feel, like, entertaining when they're on screen. They also didn't need to be there, though, for the story. Chris Pratt's doing his bad Chris Pratt thing. I hate this movie so much. And also, there are like 4 different times in the middle of the movie where, like, and now a break from our plot to just watch 2 dinosaurs fight for like 5 minutes. And now back to our plot. I mean, the movie starts out with a now this, like, news report. It was like, okay, cool, glad you were too lazy to actually write an opening to the movie. It's like, I just hate this movie a lot. It's everything that's wrong with modern, like, blockbuster filmmaking. Whereas Top Gun Maverick was like, okay, this is how you do it. Well, it's just a big CGI, like, mess where, you know, in Western culture, we're like, yeah, no, spectacle is when we see random things that we've seen before again, because that's fun, rather than spectacle actually be, like, spectacular and exhilarating and exciting. We just like to see different characters on screen, and it's so dull. They tried to do like 5 different planes of action at one point, and it's like I don't care about any of these, and the editing was disgustingly awful as far as trying to keep momentum. I don't know. I hate this movie a lot.
Yeah.
It's not even gonna. It's not no. Like I don't think any movie that we mentioned today has any kind of Oscars potential.
No, no.
Maybe Jurassic World and Chip and Dale with the slightest chances of VFX. Maybe Crimes of the Future with the slightest chance at makeup and hair. But yeah, I hate this movie a lot. I'm gonna give it a solid 1.5 out of 10.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, but that's all of the things. I don't know if this
Yeah.
will be a thing that we will keep doing, but this was fun. I enjoyed doing it. Rapid
Yeah.
fire. There's some,
Return of Matson movie minutes.
I know. How the channel started. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, but Thomas, anything you want to say before we head out?
You can follow me at Letterboxd at Thomas Gladstone and on YouTube at Project Mayhem. Maybe stuff coming in the summer.
You can find me at YouTube on the Basement, Letterboxd, and Twitter at my name. Like Lightning McQueen said, we went fast.